I've compared 5 of the top mobile light meter apps, and by the end of this video, you will know which one is right for you. So first things first, I based the comparison off the following criteria. Availability, can you only get it on Apple or can you also get it on Android? Then cost, I tested the pro versions of these whenever it was possible. Does the app have a spot meter function? Does the app have an EV readout? And then very important, how accurate is it? And I compared these apps to my Pentax spot meter to check the accuracy of the measurements. Does it have a decent user manual, and how good is the support for the app? Because I found this to be very frustrating, especially when doing research. It was just, some of them have an overall lack of instruction and information about the apps. Some of them didn't have any type of manual, and it made finding the specs and features really frustrating. So let's just dig into the top light meter apps and what they offer you as a photographer. Number 5 on my list is Light Meter Ultra. Now this one's only available for Apple. There is no Android version. And for the Pro version, you need a subscription, and it's $3.99 a month or $16.99 a year. This one offers a reflective meter, and according to their fact page, it's a matrix metering algorithm with a bias under the spot. It does not have a spot meter. It's more center weighted, but it's not a true spot meter. This app also does not do a direct EV readout. The accuracy was really good, being a 15th of a second at f.6, which was identical to my spot meter. And for the metering, I used a simple backdrop propped up in my studio with available just a natural window light coming into the room. And my spot meter read this at ISO 400, 15th of a second at 5.6. So I couldn't find any real manual. Now there was a short fact page on their website, and it does explain some of the features. It's helpful, but it's not super in depth. You can set this app into aperture priority, shutter priority, and then it has an exposure offset function mode as well. And then it has this little eyedropper tool that is really useful for determining the contrast range in a scene. I really like this light meter a lot, though it is the most expensive of the ones I tested. Number 4, Light and Exposure Meter. This one is a free app, and it's available for Apple but not Android. It does have a reflective meter, it does not have a spot meter. This one seems to be more of a general scene averaging meter. However, if you go into the settings, you can have it display an EV readout, which is really awesome. The accuracy, it measured that same test at 18th of a second at f5.6, so it was within a third stop, so it's really, really good. I did not find any manual or instructions at all. There was an email support option within the app. I did not reach out to them, but I did have some questions on the app and I couldn't just easily find information, so I was a little bit bummed. This is definitely one of the best options out there for a simple and easy to use light meter. You can set everything to 1/3 stops and even get white balance readings right on the display, which is pretty cool. Hey, before we get to the top 3 mobile light meter apps, I need you to smash that subscribe button. I put out a new video like this every week and you are not going to want to miss it. Number 3, My Pocket Light Meter. This app costs about $10.99 and it is a one-time purchase. It's only available on Apple and it uses just a reflective light meter through your phone. It does not have a spot meter. The bracketed area in the middle, it's measured, but it's not like a true spot. You can, however, touch the screen and move it around the scene, which is a really cool feature. It does offer a EV readout. If you go in the settings, you can set that to display it. So the test for the accuracy, this app gave me a 20th of a second at f5.6, which was still within around that third of a stop, so it was pretty good. This was another one that I couldn't find any manual or instructions on. And there is an email support available within the app, but to just go in and find information if you're having a hard time or trying to figure something out, there's really nothing there for you. This app seems to be a lot of people's favorites, and it's really quite intuitive to use. It's very accurate and reliable. I love that you can touch and meter around the scene and you can get an EV readout from that area. That makes it really easy to measure the contrast in the scene. Number 2, My Light Meter Pro. This one is available on Apple and Android, and it's actually, unfortunately, the only one on the list that does have an Android option. The ISO version is $3.99, or the Apple version. The Android version is $1.99. And it does not have a spot meter, but you can zoom in on a specific area of the scene to kind of meter off that area. It's just not a true 1 degree spot. The EV readout is available, and it has the option to measure like adjusted for ISO or not, which is really cool. This app was one of the most accurate, measuring 1/15 of a second at f5.6, which was the same as my spot meter. There is a downloadable PDF manual for this app, which is really good. It breaks down all the buttons and the setting options. It's not like the most in-depth thing, but at least it tells you what everything is. And then there's also a web page with like a contact and information, basically a contact email page. Now this app has some other really cool additional tools built in, like a depth of field calculator, flash exposure calculator, a freeze motion calculator, and some other really interesting things that are all handy when you need them. All in all, this is one of the best mobile app meters with a really cool retro kind of user interface. And I really like the sliding scale for the exposure compensation, as it's laid out really nicely and it helps you kind of visualize what's going on when you're metering. And number 1 on my list, I found this one extremely interested and I'm excited to use this more in the future, is Light Me. It costs nothing, it's free. There are some in-app purchases and there's an optional logbook that looks pretty interesting and might be worth purchasing. It is only available for Apple. It does have a spot meter. This is the only one that kind of zoomed into like a 2 or a 1 degree, and it actually had that in the documentation. Now in the accuracy test, it measured 1/20th of a second at f5.6, so it was within that, around that 1/3 of a stop. So it was still really good. So this thing has a really cool manual available right inside the app, as well as like a guide to walk you through like questions you might have. Very helpful, and hands down the best, like of all the apps that I tested. And it's the fact that it's right in the app, and then they also have this full Reddit group dedicated to the app as well. So this one is my number 1 pick, as it just has a lot of standout features that aren't found in the other ones. Some of the features that this app has in it is a reciprocity failure display and calculator. So it will automatically display reciprocity failure times when it gets into that zone, and like a yellow number next to it. It has a pinhole mode and zone placement metering, which make it, like I said, it just stands out amongst the other apps. And it's free. Like, it's pretty hard to beat that. So all in all, I don't think you'll go wrong with any of these apps. They all seem really accurate and fairly straightforward to use. Now, some have a simpler interface like my Pocket Light Meter, while others, they're a bit more feature packed, so they have more going on. And they might have a little bit more of a learning curve, but most of them have a free trial version, so you can take them out and see how they perform for you before you have to commit or spend any money. And I listed them in the order that I would recommend them for the type of photographer that I am. So take that for what it's worth. And you can also check out some real world testing with an actual app light meter in this video right here.